Good afternoon, Year 3. Last week in science we were looking at our skeleton and our bones. Today we are going to be looking at our muscles. So to start the lesson today, can you go and get a piece of paper and you need to write your date and your title and underline both of them. Can you press pause now please while you do that? Now what I would like you to do is, using a pencil and a ruler if you've got one, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so lines down from your title and draw a line going across. Press pause now while you get that done. So in this box here, I'd like you to write muscles and draw a little bubble around it. And I'd like you to just write down anything that you know about muscles. You might know some names of them, you might know what they do, you might know what they are, you might know where you've got muscles in your body, you might know some words to do with them. But just take a couple of minutes now where you press pause and just write down and gather all your ideas about muscles. So, what are muscles? Muscles are attached to our skeleton and are what allow us to move. Muscles are made from tissue, and that is a different type of tissue to the one that you might use to blow your nose. It's a type of tissue that's found in our bodies. On the screen now there are two different words. We've got the word involuntary and voluntary. Pause the video now and have a think about what these two words might mean. So involuntary is when something happens that you don't choose to happen, and voluntary is when you choose something to happen. So involuntary muscles are muscles that move without you thinking about it, and voluntary muscles will move when you think about it and you make them move. So on the board now there are two pictures. There's a picture of a heart and a picture of an arm. So both of these have got muscles in them. Which one do you think is the voluntary muscle? Which one do you have to think about in order to get it to work? Which one do you think is the involuntary muscle? Which one works without you thinking about it? Pause the video now and have a little think. So your heart is an involuntary muscle because you don't have any control over that. Your heart will keep pumping without you thinking or telling it to do its job. A voluntary muscle, for an example, is your arm. If you want to lift your arm up, you've got to think about it and you've got to make your muscles do it in order to lift your arm. Here's a diagram of the different muscles on your body that are labelled. The first one is your muscles at the front, and then the second picture are the muscles at the back. So have a read through them for me. Press pause now. We're now going to watch a short clip that explains muscles in a little bit more detail.
Did you know it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile? Without muscles, you wouldn't be able to move your face or any part of your body. The muscles attached to your bones are called skeletal muscles. When these muscles contract or tighten, they move your bones. Muscles allow you to do this, and this, and even that. But muscles can only pull, they cannot push. That's why many muscles are arranged in pairs. Each pair of muscles has the job of pulling a particular bone. When your bicep muscle contracts, it shortens and fattens, pulling your lower arm in towards your shoulder. It cannot push your arm back out. Instead, it relaxes, growing longer and thinner as your triceps muscle on the underside of your upper arm contracts to straighten the arm. The muscles work together, contracting and relaxing to move the bone. In the same way, as the hamstring muscle underneath your thigh contracts to bend your leg, the quadriceps muscle on the top of the thigh relaxes. It then contracts to straighten your leg while the hamstring relaxes. Working alone, the muscles attached to our bones would be useless. When they work together in pairs, our body can do some amazing things. Now that's something to smile about.
So let's have another look at our different muscles. So here we've got our facial muscles. You've got lots of muscles in your face. You do different facial expressions. You make a smile, you do a frown. You're using all of those muscles to help you. Deltoid, which are in your shoulders. Pectorals, which are in your chest. Biceps, that are at the top of your arm at the front. Abdominals, which are in your tummy. And quadriceps, which are in your legs at the top. At the back of us, we've got the trapezius, which is a muscle at the back, our triceps, which are at the back of our arms, gluteus maximus, which is our bottom, and then your hamstrings that are at the back of your legs as well. So what I would like you to do is copy the movement that the video is doing on the board. So put your arm out flat in front of you and bring your hand up towards your shoulder. Keep doing it, and as you're doing it, what I would like you to do is just put your other hand that you're not using around the top of your arm and see if you can feel your triceps and your biceps moving as you move your arm. So they work in pairs. When one of them is contracting and pulling in, the other one is relaxing. And when the other one is relaxing, the other muscle is contracting and pulling in as well. So what I would like you to do now is go back to your piece of paper and go back to your mind map at the top where you've wrote the word muscles. And I would like you to add any new learning that you have found out this lesson about muscles. It could be a new name of a muscle. It could be any vocabulary that you've learned. It could be the fact that they work in pairs. Anything you can remember. So can you press pause and add anything to that now? And then once you've done that, down the side of your page, underneath your line, I would like you to write A equals, B equals, C equals, D equals, and E equals. So can you press pause while you write those in? So we've got the diagram up of our muscles again, and some of them are filled in. So we've got the facial, the deltoid, the quadriceps, the trapeze, the gluteus maximus. Some of them, however, have got the names down here. A is pointing here, so is that showing the hamstrings, the abdominals, the triceps, the biceps, or the pectorals? C is pointing here, so which one of these muscles is C showing? And on your piece of paper, where you wrote down A equals, B equals, C equals, D equals, E equals, you need to write the correct muscle next to the letter. So can you press pause now while you get that done, and we'll go over the answers in a moment. So the answers are now on the screen. A was pointing to the pectorals, B was pointing to the biceps, C was pointing to the abdominals, D was pointing to the triceps, and E was pointing to the hamstrings. So tick them correct if you've got them right, mark them and correct them if you haven't. Okay, to do the next part of this lesson, you will need to get a new piece of paper, or turn the piece of paper that you've been using earlier over and use the back of it. So just pause the video now while you get yourself organised, and you're also going to need a ruler and a pencil. So we're going to start drawing a table now, and we're going to do it together. The first thing that you need to do, you need to start near the top of your page, and you need to take your ruler, and I would like you to go 22 lines down on your margins. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Can you press pause now, please, while you get that line done? Right, once you've done that, what we need to do, we need to go back at the top of this line. We're going to count down 2, and we're just going to do one line going across, like that, all the way to the end of your page. So can you press pause, please, while you get that line done? Now what we are going to do, from that top line, we're going to count 4 lines down, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and do another line going all the way across. And once that is done, we're going to do exactly the same again. So we're going to count down another 1, 2, 3, 4, and do another line going all the way across. And then another 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then another 4. And then you just need one more at the end just to rule it off. So press pause now while you catch up with doing that. And then we just need to do one more line, and from this line that you've done here and this line at the end, we need to sort of find the middle, and we're just going to draw a line going down there. So have a look at your table. Does it look similar to mine? Have you got 1, 2, 3 headings at the top and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 headings going down the margin? Press pause while you make sure it's done. Now we're going to add some headings in. So in the first one we're going to put movement. In the first one we're going to put prediction. And in the last one, we're going to put muscles used. So can you press pause while you add all those in for me? Right, down movement side, we're going to add some movements in. So I'd like you to put star jump in the first one. I'd like to write squat in the second one. I'd like you to write hop in the third one. I would like you to write skip in the fourth one. And then the very last one, I would like you to write high kick. And then put your pencil down once you've done that, and I'll explain what we are doing now. So before I explain what we're doing with the table, we're going to have a look at what the different movements are so we know. So the first one's the star jump. So a star jump is where you stand with your legs and feet together and you jump up into the air and make a star shape with your body. A squat, you stand up with your back straight and arms out, and then you bend your legs keeping your back straight and try and almost push your bottom into the floor when you're doing a squat. A hop, you start on one leg, you jump up into the air and you land back down on one leg. A high kick is just you stand with your feet together and you kick your leg out, trying to get as high as you can. And a skip, hopefully you all know what a skip is, and you can either do that moving around or you can do it on the spot. So those are what all the different movements are. You can rewind it back and re-listen to it before we start our actual activity. So what we're going to do now is going to have a look at the prediction side of our table. So to do a star jump, you don't have to do a star jump. I don't want you to do anything yet. All I want you to do is have a look at the muscles. Which muscles do you think you would have to use in order to do a star jump? So if you felt like, do you know what, I feel like I'd have to use my pectoral muscles, my abdominals and my quadriceps, you would write them as bullet points there. Once you've done that, move on to the squat. Which of the muscles, remember to use your ones that are on the back as well, do you think you'd have to use in order to do a squat? Which ones to do a hop? Which ones to do a skip? And which ones to do a high kick? And I've just put the little images there just to remind you of what the movements are. So can you press pause now while you just make your prediction on which muscles you would use for each movement? Right then, so this part of the lesson, you are going to need to make sure you are in a safe space. So that might mean you've got to go into a different room and come back to record your answers. But what I would like you to do now is I would like you to do each of these movements and write down which muscles you actually did use. You might have to do more than one, so you might have to do 5 of each to see which muscles you use, which muscles are starting to ache a little bit, which muscles can you feel really working, and then record them down here. I've left them up so you can use them to help you. So can you press pause now, go and do some star jumps, come back and write what muscles you think you use to do your star jumps. Press pause now while you do that. Right then, now what I would like you to do is do a couple of squats and write down which muscles you used when you did your squats. So press pause while you go and do that now. Same with hopping, same with skipping, and same with your high kick. Can you go and do the last 3 and record the muscles that you use to do each of those movements, please? Press pause now while you get that done. So after you've done your table, I'd just like you to have a think about the answers to these sentences. Which movement used the most amount of muscles? Which movement used the least amount of muscles? And can you write the answer to those on your piece of paper? Have a look at the time. If it is 2:15 or near to 2:15, that means that our science lesson is finished, so well done. If you've got through this really quickly, you can listen on and I'll put an extension onto the end. But otherwise, well done for all your really good hard work, and I'll see you next week. So if you've still got a bit of time left, what I would like you to do as your extension task is make up 3 of your own movements that can use lots of different muscles. What you need to do is you can record it onto your table, or you can start a new piece of paper and record it in a different way if you want to. You need to describe the movement. So you need to say what it's like, what you do, and then I would like you to record the muscles that were used, and you're trying to use lots of different ones. So good luck with it, and then I will see you next week.